Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Ashley, coming on again. Sorry it's been a while. It's just that, as you guys may or may not know, I wear a lot of hats. I have been pushing forward with the business, and I have been trying to do a lot of construction. So I am only one lowly woman who is taking care of a child as well. And I'm trying to do as best as I can to reach every single one of the platforms. So I do apologize, but I'm going to do my best to come on as much as I can. So the last video I did was talking about how some of us might be at a precipice moment where we are going through what some would call the black swan moment of facing ourselves. And I did receive a mention or some form of reaction to that video that I thought was pretty interesting, and I wanted to actually talk about it because I thought that that was a pivotal marker point that a lot of people think about, believe about, and I think it's important to talk about. So what the comment was that the person said, and I won't state the name, said Jesus is seen as only light, or there is no darkness in Jesus. And what I do want to say to those watching and to the person who commented is you are absolutely correct. The thing is that I must reiterate is that my standpoint from where I come from is a little different than most. I'm not going to say that I stand differently than others on a totality. But what I would say is that the difference between someone like Yeshua and someone like myself, or a difference between Yeshua and someone like you, is that Yeshua isn't a master. So Yeshua would be somebody who is outside of duality, meaning doesn't have just light and doesn't have just dark. He is above it. He is love eternal. He is past the point of what we are facing as human beings in this dualistic sense of being. So the reason why I want to preface this is because the thing is that Jesus is a true master, and he was trying to show us how to get out of this nature to embrace something called unconditional love, and then also to embrace an even bigger understanding of what love is in a different capacity, love eternal. So the person who did comment, thank you very much for that comment, because I wanted to express this. When I was even in my earlier stages as a being, in my 20s, when I said I had my eye on, I used to convene a lot with what I would call 12-dimensional beings. Jesus, Yeshua, most of the masters, demigods, etc. Sometimes you would even see enlightened cedar race beings in this dimensional place. They live in a place of love eternal, okay? They know one must be all with the all in that state of being. And realistically, in order for us to ever get to a place of that understanding, we as people in the three-dimensional sense have to battle the dark and the light, because we have to find the balance. So please understand is that even to understand Yeshua, you must understand these concepts. Simply because Yeshua came as an all-encompassed being, trying to show us in the 3D how to do it, how to walk his way. Now, what I'm trying to express is that we as human beings, we're constantly fighting this idea of love. Now, the thing is what I want to express is why there is light and dark is simply because we as humans experience that duality all the time. And what I mean is that love is a huge emotion, but it encompasses a darker nature, which is hate. Okay? One cannot hate someone without loving them to some capacity. And I know a lot of you might think that that's very not true, but think about it. Think about every single person you've ever truly hated. Like, I don't mean dislike, I mean real hate. Okay? To have that type of emotion, that kind of power behind your feelings, you must have loved them at one time. So what I want to express is that to have what Jesus or Yeshua expressed, which was unconditional love, one must go and traverse both sides of this. And if you guys can see, this side's love, this side's hate. What I put on the hate side is jealousy, envy, deceit, revenge, stalking, obsession, unhelpful, injuring, manipulation, scapegoating, negative connotations, blaming and or acting childish. Now, I use those, and that's not all of them. There's a lot more that are encompassed in this idea of hate, okay? On the loving side, you could see that these are the direct opposites of what I just listed out to you. So for jealousy and envy, you would be someone who admires people. You'd be somebody who commemorates people. You give commemoration to those that belong and deserve it. So that's the total opposite of envy and jealousy. Deceit, right, would be honesty. Okay? Revenge would be reciprocity. Stalking would be a fan or a fanatic, if you want to put it that way. Unhelpful injuring would be careful. Okay? A person who's manipulating is a giver on the other side. A person who's scapegoating on the other side of love is a supporter. If you're someone who gives negative connotations on the other side, you're a congratulator. Okay? Blaming, you're an acknowledger. Okay? Childish, you're mature. So you could see that even in this context, every single negative attribute of being whole encompassment of what love is. Because the thing is, again, the reason why somebody hates you or has any of these is simply because they're scared to love you. That's all it is. The reason why you turn to hate or you turn to jealousy or to envy is because you are not able to love the person you envy. You're not able to love the person you hate. That's all it is. It's just a separation. It's a very small separation between these two things. And the thing is that a lot of people might be like, oh no. Well, that's because you haven't done the shadow work to understand it. And that's why when people say this word shadow, that it's like evil, or actually no, it's being honest with yourself to say, hey, I've done some of these dark things before. Why am I doing them? I should analyze them so I can become a fully loving being. So please understand, to all of those that comment, or to all of those that want to chime in, or to all of those, please keep me on my toes, because you know what? I want to bring the most understanding and knowledge I can. Because Yeshua himself not only knows these two sides, he understands unconditional love, and he understands love eternal as a 12D being. And there's many others that are also in that capacity, but I'm saying Yeshua is the most important in the sense of this particular consciousness, because his consciousness, his Christ consciousness, goes across the board. His consciousness is the most, I would say, mature essence of being. But the thing is in order to understand Yeshua's teachings, you have to face the fact that you have done these things. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because a lot of you might believe that, oh, I follow Yeshua's teachings, but how many of you do it with the proper intent? Do you only use these as your staples because you're told to? Do you only do these things? Are you only honest because of fear of sin? Are you only showing reciprocity because of fear of damnation? You have to be very understanding that someone who does not analyze their intent for why they do things can never possess fully what it means to be an unconditional loving being. Because the thing is that if you're doing things for the fear of sin, for the fear of, let's say, God's wrath, or you're fearful of going to hell, or this isn't the proper intent. Because, okay, I'll give you an example. I know this is going to be a really weak example, but I'll say intent is everything. Even when it comes to things like even marriage, let's say. Anyone can get married, but what's a proper marriage? Like, anyone can get married to anybody. Let's say people get married to people who are illegal in countries to get them through and get them their papers. There's women that, are very beautiful and models that marry older men, and people say it's for their money, but it's still a marriage. The intent behind the marriage is what makes the marriage what it really should be, or what it really should embody. So please understand that when I was talking about this black swan moment, it's really because I'm trying to combine both of the sides that are myself, that are the honest parts of everyone. So if you feel that you don't have any of these, you're actually pushing more into your shadow, because if your intent is not honest and not truthful to yourself, like let's say, for example, somebody slights you and you decide to turn the other cheek, right? But you're only doing it because that's what Yeshua teaches. And you're not turning the other cheek because it's what you've learned in your shadow work. Okay? You're only doing it because you know that that's the right thing to do. But deep down inside, you still harbor the pain. You still harbor the loss. You still harbor the anger. What do you do with that, right? So the better thing to do is to realize that you are angry, that you are in pain, and that you are suffering from that decision, and find and strike that balance. To find a balance in every single situation, that you are juxtaposed against your love and your hate side, okay? Because the thing is eventually it all becomes love. Because you realize that hating and jealousy and pride and ego and all those things don't really lead you very far, because all you're really proving to yourself is that you're just scared to love someone. Because that's really what these things are. The reason why someone lies is because they don't want to get in trouble. The reason why someone lies, and there's certain situations where lying, okay, hear me out, can be soothing. Sometimes people tell people lies so that they don't hurt their feelings. So please understand, there's dark and light sides to everything, okay? So don't look at this as like an evil and good thing. Because the thing is, there's people that do evil things, let's say, by standards, that end up having good results. You know, sacrificing the few for the many. Would you say that that's good or that's evil? It depends on the scenario. It depends on the situation, right? So realistically, when you're looking at things about the output for hate, right, is the same type of energy that love, like if you love somebody tremendously and wholeheartedly, you'll spend the same amount of energy output as you would with hate, okay? Because when you hate somebody, you loathe somebody, you think about them a lot. You put a lot of energy into that loathing. So the thing is that if you're somebody who doesn't have this, you're indifferent. Okay, the middle ground is more of an indifference towards somebody, and you learn to have that indifference, to realize that everyone's human, to realize that everyone errs, to realize that there's compassion, that they are a version of you, to find that you can inch towards this full unconditional love. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of that comment, and it really touched my heart, because I'm like, you know what? He's correct. That is correct statement. Like, Jesus was above us. Okay, he was he's coming from a place of non-duality. So the love is just all abundant. It's all unconditional love. And the thing is that as a unified circle, right, as these circles are trying to express is the best way, eternal love, unconditional love is an encapsulated version of the emotion in itself. So realistically, Yeshua has to teach us through his parables how to get from this side to this side in an honest, real intended way of being that's backing it. What's backing it is genuine. What's backing it is real. Because I'll be honest, when I first started on my journey years and years and years ago, I just started doing the motions of like, oh, turn the other cheek. Oh, be kind. Oh, do this. And I'll tell you something. It harbored a lot of resentment inside of myself, not just to the people, but to myself, because I wasn't being honest with myself. I should have put up things like boundaries. I should have put things up like talking to the person about my pain, about my suffering, and what hurt me and why it shouldn't happen again, versus just kind of like turning away, saying that I forgive them when I really didn't even forgive myself. So I do want to express this, that this is bigger than just looking at a dual sense. I could go on and on about expressing what this means, but I will want to say this, is that a lot of people think that it's all about just being evil and not. And what I will say to you is that when the end of the day comes, okay, when we all go and hit those gates, intent is more important. Did you go to church because you wanted to be in favor of God, or did you want to go to church because you wanted to be in service? The intent of why you do things is all that matters at the end. Because the thing is that if you show up at the gates and you just did everything because of what you thought was the right thing to do, versus it coming from the heart, versus it being part of the unconditional love, you're really just, in a sense, false. Because you're just putting on the facade, you're putting on the mask, you're just putting on the appearance of what it is. But you're not intently doing it for the right reasons. Fear of sin, fear of death, fear of hell is not the right intent. You should do things because it is the right thing to do. Point blank, bar none. So the thing is that if you are someone who works solely in Yeshua's teachings and only facilitates them because you want to uphold them, but you have no idea what the backing or reasoning is, I would honestly suggest that you take a look at what I was describing as the middle ground. Because to get to an unconditional state of love, meaning that no matter what's thrown at you, you are above it. You have elevated because you have done all of this work. You have looked at why you wanted revenge against people back in the day. You realize why maybe you stalked a boyfriend or a girlfriend or you had an obsession. And the thing is that all it is a shift in perception from going from obsession to a fan, to celebrating someone versus condemning someone. There's a difference in that shift, but it's very intrinsic and it is very apparent that it is one is I would say versioned in a sense of self that helps you even too, and a lot of people don't realize that. The reason why you're doing all of these things is because you are scared to love the person that you're reflecting all of this hatred towards. And if you say to me that you're somebody who has never felt this, no offense, you're a liar. You're lying to me, you're lying to yourself, you're lying to those around you. It's impossible. We are human. We have lived this life. To err is human. To understand that everyone has their challenges and their ups and their downs. I am not Yeshua, but I will try my darndest to get to his level. I'll tell you that much. Because I can honestly say in my lifetime, I've been blessed enough to meet these beings in this place and state of being. They are above it. It's like as if they look at us like children, okay? They're the parents and we look like children. And the thing is that, here's the thing. That's the best way I could describe it. When you see little children acting out or doing things that are incorrect or wrong, do you get mad at them? No, not really, because you're like, oh, they're a child. They don't know better. That's what Yeshua is like. Yeshua sees us, and it's not to be condescending. It's just these 12-dimensional beings, or this consciousness that Yeshua and Jesus profess to us, is so above our pay grade of what it means to be in this spiritual space. So don't feel bad. I myself, I'm still working, even though I had the grace and the capacity to meet and to be in that presence and to feel what it felt like to be a 12th dimensional being. The minute I came back into this dimensional space, trust me, it all got lost. I forgot again. And I'm telling you, it's over-encompassing. They see us like children, not condescending wise, but in a sense like they know better. They've evolved. They're older. They've seen it all. They've done it all. They've been through every single cycle of these two sides. So please understand that when it comes to love, love encompasses all feelings. So please don't ever think that it's a small part of, it is probably one of the largest emotions that encompasses so many different things within it. And when people say to me, oh, hate is not part of love, it is. Because you cannot hate anyone. You won't have the energy to hate if you have not loved them. Really think about it. Or if you have that amount of emotion, it's because you possess one of these other things like jealousy or envy. And why do you feel jealous? Because you love what this person is. You envy who they are. You admire who they are. That's all it is. It's just a reciprocal of admiration. So please know that for all of us out there that are battling through understanding what it is to be human, trying our best to be as enlightened as Yeshua was, please know that this is one of the ways. Love thy enemy. How would you know how to do this truly? Unless you have been the enemy yourself. How could you understand that concept? You have to be the enemy in one state of being at one point in your life to say, hey, you know what? That was a really shitty place to be. Being the enemy is really bad. It made me feel horrible inside. Like, you have to understand that criteria to understand how it is to love someone like that, to have the empathy for someone like that, to understand where they're coming from in the first place. If you're some all-encompassing, loving being, you would never understand this side. And then you could never have the compassion to do as Yeshua asked, to love them. So you have to understand that you need to know both sides. You have to have walked in you have to have lied a couple times. You've had to take revenge. You've had to be unhelpful or injure someone to know what it feels like, to know what it's like to perpetrate it. So please know that Yeshua might be above all of this, but we are not, and we are striving all the time. So all I say to you guys is please work on your shadow work. And what your shadow work is, analyzing who you are in your darker sense of self. Because if you deny that's who you are too, you're denying everything that you are. And then you won't ever be able to understand the true understanding of what it means to have unconditional love. To know that you can love anybody regardless of how they treat you. Because you love them regardless. You know that they are scared to love you in some capacity. And you'll only get there if you've done the work. Have a good one, guys. Love you lots. Peace.